Hey guys, what's going on? This is Cody. I'm back with another addition to the Rational Recovery series, and you can finally see my face. I decided to not be lazy. In the last couple clips I released, I got some feedback on some of my other videos that you guys wanted to get some more of these, and I hope it's helping you out. I'm going to do a little bit of talking today about my personal experience with rational recovery and some of my opinions on things in the recovery community, which I think you need to hear, and I hope you really take it to heart. And we're going to get into reading about what is AVRT and how it's helped me personally recover completely from addiction to some to some very bad things. I'm not going to get into it. If you listen to some of my previous podcasts or recordings or whatever you call it on this subject, I may have talked about it. But anyway. So I was watching like this Vice documentary today. They have a million, heroin documentaries because it's very... it freaks out normies, like it makes normal people cringe when they see people using an IV or the intravenous shooting, things like that. It really freaks people out, so they show a lot of that kind of stuff, and I'm not a fan of watching that stuff. But actually, I can tell you that when I was in AA and NA, or when I was in and out of the program, which I've been through phases in my life where I was in the program seriously, took it very seriously, and really tried to understand it completely and work the steps, right, with a sponsor. I always was obsessed with triggers, and I would get a ice cold feeling that would run throughout my body whenever I saw anything, any movies like Drugstore Cowboy or all these documentaries where it's very like gruesome, like they show the like gritty, dirty details that generally you don't see. It's just sort of like more subtle or hinted at in the background, like somebody's doing drugs, but you don't see exactly what they're doing. Well, when I was in NA and AA and I would see those sort of things, I would have to almost strap myself down. Either A or one, I would strap myself down, not literally, but I would white knuckle. I would try really, really hard to not go out if now I was serious about the program at the time, and two, sometimes I would just run right out and get a fix or two, because AA and NA don't work. Okay, and what I mean by that is statistically, like if you're watching this video right now and NA or AA or both or MA or SA, whatever you're going to, if it works for you, then good, keep doing it, because that means it works for you. But statistically, NA and AA are ineffectual programs, and they're based on a bunch of myths, and a lot of it doesn't make sense to a lot of people. And that's why you see a whole recovery industry has bloomed, billions and billions of dollars in the recovery industry has exploded, because a lot of people are making a lot of money touting this outdated shit program that just doesn't work for most people. Over 90% of people fail in NA and AA. And I mean, I've looked up the statistics, and if you guys would like, I would like for you to comment below. Let me know if you want me to actually pull up the statistics in a different video, and we can go over what I've found, what this book, Rational Recovery, has to say about it, and what the actual medical science is on NA and AA, and why I have the opinion that it's ineffectual. And it's not only an opinion, it's just a fact. It's just a scientific fact. It's a medical fact that these programs don't work. And not only do they not work, but they also spread the myth and the disinformation that addiction is a disease. Addiction is not a disease. I want you to understand that. Until you understand that addiction is not a disease, then, and you're struggling right now watching this, or you kind of flip flop, like you'll get clean for 6 months and then you'll fuck up again, or it's because you are more than likely consciously or subconsciously wired with the idea that addiction is a disease. And it's such a big myth that's so spread out over American society. I'm not sure about the rest of the world, but more than likely, since they don't have other ways, in which they go about recovery. AA is worldwide, NA is worldwide. I'm sure you can find chapters all over the place. So I'm just going to say society, not necessarily America, but society as a whole views addiction as a disease because of AA and NA and because of the literature. But addiction is not a disease. And I'll go further to say that if you want to argue with me and say it is a disease, well, then prove it. Prove it to me that it is a disease. I would like for you to find me some sort of scientific literature that actually breaks down why it is a disease. Is it hereditary? Does it, does it run in your family? Is it a bloodborne disease? Is it airborne disease? Where is this disease coming from? It's not a disease, but there may be some mental disorders or some other disorders that go along with addiction or that might be exasperated by addiction, but addiction itself is not a disease. And the longer that you go on thinking that you're afflicted with a disease, the longer that you're going to battle with the grips of addiction, and you're never going to get out of it. If you continue thinking that it's a disease, that you're a weak person, that it's not your fault that I use, I have a disease, and it's my mom's fault that she drank all the time. It's my dad's fault because he used to go out smoke crack all the time. Whatever your personal story is, or whatever story that you have made up in your head, it's just not true. It's not true at all. As a matter of fact, you can grow up in a fucking crack house. You can grow up in a trap house, or with parents in and out of jail constantly for drugs, people using drugs right in front of you, and you can end up being somebody who gets a PhD in in neuroscience, or you can become somebody in the IT field like me. You can become a web developer, software engineer. All right, that's the route I went. I was very lucky to get into that because it motivated me to better myself. But it took me several years to get my act together. Even as a professional developer, I still was messing around quite a bit, a lot more than I should have, and I should have gotten in a lot more trouble than I did. But I was very fortunate, and that might have had something to do with the color of my skin. It might have had something to do with my behaviors. Like maybe I kept things low key enough to not get caught, but I suffered a lot of consequences for my actions. And what I had to come to terms with when I started into rational recovery, and if you don't have a copy, please get it, okay? And also, if you don't have a copy and you're just too you're not doing too well in life right now, I can get you a copy. If you can comment below and say, hey, I'd like a copy, please get in touch, and leave me some sort of contact detail, like an email. I don't want to give my personal info out at this time because I'm not sure what would happen with that. But if you're willing to, I will definitely reach out to you and get you a copy. So, yes, we were talking about how addiction is not a disease. I had to accept that addiction is not a disease in order to get better, okay? That's how I did it. And I can tell you that I'll give you some more background, especially since we're meeting face to face, and I can talk a little bit more frankly to you. This is going to be, I think I'm going to clip this up. I'm going to release everything at once, just this conversation and some of the reading from the material, I'll release it, but I'll try to clip things out. So it's a little easier to digest maybe when you're driving or at work or at the gym or whenever you want to listen to this. Um, so I had to understand that addiction is not a disease in order to move forward in my life. Because when you accept that addiction is a disease, it gives you so many more excuses to keep doing what you're doing, okay? Yeah, because you just say, well, I can't help but relapse because I have a disease. I can't help but keep using because I have this horrible disease that there is no cure for. Now remember, that's what AA and NA tells you. There's no cure for this disease, but what they say is a disease. But it's just bullshit, man. It's just fabricated. It's not true, okay? And there's you're not gonna find any articles out there that show you any correlation between addiction and some sort of disease. And trust me, they've been looking for it, okay? Ever since NA and AA came up with that concept, um, you know, they wanted to find that correlation because then they could patent medications, they could make a lot of money off of it. But with it being a disease, the disease of addiction that has no known cure, remember, they can still make, yeah, well, if anything, they can probably make more money off of it because they just say, hey, you know what? You have a permanent affliction. You're done. It doesn't matter now. Like, it's too late for you. You're one of the lost ones, and the only thing you can do is continue going to these groups and giving us money, and continue going to these halfway houses, continue going to these recovery places, continue going to these detox facilities. Continue taking MAT, whatever it is that they have you hooked on. Somebody is making money, okay? I need you to understand that somebody's making a lot of money, or a lot of people are making a lot of money. But that kind of circles back around to what I was talking about originally. Is just the recovery industry is pretty much a scam, okay? Now there are smart meetings, and actually I think there still are rational recovery meetings, but what you're going to discover with rational recovery is a beautiful thing. You don't need meetings, you really don't, but meetings could be useful for you because it could reinforce the fundamentals of rational recovery and AVRT, okay? AVRT is the acronym. It could reinforce some of those fundamentals, and it can make you a lot stronger and a lot more confident so that you can just hop right in to getting better and getting back on your feet and moving forward, okay? But that is one of the sort of darker parts of the recovery industry. Is it's called an industry for a reason, because they're making a lot of money, and it's a death dealing industry as well. And honestly, sometimes I sit around and I get really pissed off because the recovery industry is highly ineffective, okay? So basically you are gouging people. I mean, overall billions, but the average person, it costs an average person and their family tens of thousands of dollars to go to even a subpar recovery center, okay? Now, if you want to go to one of those really nice ones out west, where they have like pools and massages and spas and yoga and all this other bullshit that doesn't help you with your addiction, or in Florida, they have them in Florida and California and probably other places as well. But if you want to go to those really nice ones, you're talking hundreds of thousands, if not into the millions of dollars. And that's not an exaggeration. It's absolutely true. Some of these places can cost anywhere between $10,000 to $50,000 a day. Yeah, a day. So it absolutely is an industry. And one of the most alarming parts of my recovery journey was when I went to Halfway House program. I went to Halfway House program, and I'm gonna put them on blast. It was called Mariposa, and they were in, at the time, Sandy Springs, Georgia. Now, I don't know where they've set up this ineffectual shit show now, but I'm pretty sure they're probably still in business, and the owners were very wealthy, and the owners were somewhat involved in the program, and they always gave you this sort of air of where you could talk to them about anything. And Susie in particular was a very sweet lady, it seemed like, and seemed like somebody that you could talk to, but conveniently they were never around. But they always had the time to go to concerts and go out and party, and most of us were pretty sure that they still drank or did something, because something sketchy was going on. And it was very alarming to me, because a lot of people died when I was in that program. They died when I was in the actual program, and I was only in the program for about 8 months. And so people would get found at their workplace. One in particular was somebody I actually knew from Dalton, Georgia. And he was a few years younger than me. And he was a really bright kid. He used to be an athlete. He had a lot of fans, dude. A lot of people loved him. And his mother loved him, and his whole family. Everybody was on his side, and he was a big deal. A lot of people really cared about this guy, but he was on pain pills in IV in Dalton, and then he came to Atlanta to get clean. But he died. He died in Atlanta from fentanyl, more than likely, or from heroin. But as you know by now, fentanyl is pretty much what you get nowadays. When you're getting heroin, it's probably laced with or just is fentanyl. And unfortunately, they found him in the bathroom at his job. He was fucking dead, man. He was just, gone, and he was in his early 20s. And then there was another girl. I'm not gonna name names right now, but there was another girl in my program that also they found her in her car. She was dead. There was a lot of overdoses, non-fatal, while I was there. They had to get the hospital out there, or I'm sorry, the ambulance out there to come pick them up. And, there was just a lot of nefarious dealings and a lot of strange stuff going on, pretty much out in the open. There's a lot of sketch stuff going on. And the owners would typically let people fuck up over and over again because they were getting paid, and they didn't mind to keep the beds filled. And I'll get into the population in just a second, because that's another crazy part, and something that you shouldn't put up with. If you're watching this in a halfway house, you should not put up with what I'm going to tell you about in a bit. But my experience in the halfway house was pretty horrific, okay? I white knuckled my way through it. I actually failed once. I relapsed and had to leave for a few days and come back. And the second time I came back, I got 6 months clean, and I graduated the program. That's when they say, okay, you actually graduate our program. Here's your paperwork. You can walk. However, you can stay there. Okay? Now, if they were really trying to help people, if you graduated a recovery program, why wouldn't they just say, okay, we're going to give you a couple weeks, but you need to get on with your life? No, because they want you to stay, because you're paying an exorbitant rent. I was paying, I think, between $1,200 and $1,500 a month, and I had to share a room with 4 people. Yeah. So altogether, it would be between like 2 and 4 people. So yeah, once you graduate, they want to stay. You can stay as long as you want. There was people there that have been living in that community for years. Some of the older people, they were too afraid to leave. That's the honest truth, because even though NA and AA is ineffectual, sometimes the group itself can keep you clean. If you're in a decent environment and you just put your mind to it, even with the fundamentals of NA and AA, how shitty and garbage they are, you can still white knuckle it through the program and make it, but you have to be really determined, okay? And some people did that, and they stuck around, and the proof is in the pudding, because you got drug tested and alcohol tested. So, those people were clean for the most part, as far as I know. I don't know actually, but they didn't get kicked out, so I'm assuming that, they were clean all the time, if not the majority of the time. So, But yeah, I mean that was a horror show. They would have people. They got in when I was about to leave. Well, about 3 or 4 months before I was going to leave, they got a partnership program with the jail system or the prison system. I'm not sure which one. But they were piping in prisoners that were fresh from release. And these guys were fucking assholes, man. They were violent. They were, half stupid. And, they were just not pleasant people to be around. And they were working the system, and I got stuff stolen from me. People around me got stuff stolen from me, and like I said, they were very violent. And I never got into a fight or anything like that, but there was definitely some close calls because they were highly aggressive people, and they wanted to show their dominance in the program. And really, what it broke down to was they were just some fuckboys that weren't getting no pussy even in the program, and they were just jerks, man. It was just like, but that's the people they were piping in because they were making more money. And you know what? Like, if you just got out of jail, you just got out of prison, like, I don't have anything against you. I'm just telling you about my experience and how, I just I don't get along with the prison crowd. Like, that's not my culture. I don't like the culture. Like, it's very violent, hyper aggressive, hyper masculine. I don't like any of that shit. So I just didn't get along with those people. They forced you to be around those kind of people, and nobody cared. Like, it was all about the profit margin at the end of the day. So I will make another video going further into my personal experience with the recovery industry and with AA and NA and meetings, and a lot of the crazy shit that I went through and witnessed, and which will help us break down the reason that addiction is not a disease. And also, if you're new to recovery, I can hopefully help you guide your way away from some of these pitfalls that I myself had to go through, because I and my family didn't know any better, and we were always taught that addiction was a disease. So this was just the system. They throw you into a system and they expect you to succeed. They throw you into a broken shit system that doesn't work, and they still expect you to succeed. Not only your family and your friends, but the legal system. The legal system throws you into the recovery industry, and most people just keep on flip-flopping, or they end up back in jail, or they end up 6 feet under. So that's really mainly the only options. And even the people that do get cleaned up for a couple of years, a lot of the times they end up relapsing anyway. So I was out to find something else because I knew that there must be something else. And I didn't have to look too far. I just looked up alternatives to NA and AA, and I'm not religious, but at the time I was pretty militant atheist, and I was not only not religious, but I was against religion at the time. So NA and AA, that was another reason I hated it, okay, is because they say it's a non-religious program, but obviously it's a religious program, okay? And I don't give a shit what anybody says. It absolutely 100% is a religious program written by religious people, and at the end of the day, they just kind of want you to turn into a Christian, because that's what the entire system is based on. It's based on you having God as your higher power, and for you to turn yourself over to Him, and then that's supposed to solve half your problems. But come on, it doesn't work. So anyway, I'm sorry to cut off short. If you found this interesting, that's great. If you didn't, I don't really care, because I'm gonna talk about this stuff. So, but we're going to get into the actual material here, and I'm gonna read a bit for you. Okay, we've got some time still left on my SD. So last time we went through the introduction, and I've actually got it bookmarked here. That's where we left off. We were at an overview of AVRT. So, like I said, one more time, I will make some more clips and I'll talk frankly to you guys about my experience. So, if you want more of that, please subscribe. That would really help me out a lot. Don't be lazy. Like, you'll get more of my videos if you subscribe. So, if you like this, just subscribe. It takes you 2 seconds, and give me a like, because then I know that people are actually watching this content and they like it. If you don't, if you just sit there watching, you don't do anything, then how am I supposed to know? So please do that for me, and then I'll know what to make more of. And then if you really like it, put some comments and let me know what you think about it, and what specifically you want to see. So that would help me out. And don't be a dick. Okay, so we're going to skip through the end of. No, here we go. This is some important stuff. Okay, so we're talking about, this is still an overview of AVRT. So here's bullets for your beast. So your beast is your drug addiction. That's what Jack is referring to when he says beast. So whenever you hear beast, just associate that with your own personal addiction, and how how bad it is, and how dumb it is, and all those things that you just can't wrap your rational mind around. That's what your beast is. So bullets for your beast. Make a safe plan for detox. You are responsible to protect yourself against acute withdrawal symptoms. If you're in doubt, consult with your physician. Clear your mind of everything you know about substance addiction. Focus only on your own behavior and the consequences you experience from drinking or drugging. Forget for now about the recovery group movement, the disease concept of addiction, brain chemistry, lousy recovery statistics, which we just went over, and nonsense jargon like denial, relapse, triggers, enabler, alcoholic, addict, and other recovery group movement concepts. Focus on the obvious. If you're doing something harmful to yourself, wouldn't it be good to stop it? If you have trouble drinking moderately, wouldn't it be good to quit altogether? Right now, experiment with the idea of never drinking or using again. Think of the pros and the cons, and listen to your own thoughts about quitting for good. Notice the mixture of feelings that you have. And by the way, we're on page 36 if you're following along. Notice that you feel both ways about quitting. On the one hand, you want to quit, but on the other hand, you would like to continue drinking or drugging as much as you want forever. You are ambivalent, and you're feeling both ways. Your addictive voice, AV, is your body talking to you in thoughts and feelings, telling you to drink or use drugs. It is the sole cause of your substance addiction. There's not a disease like we're talking about. It's your addictive voice. That is exactly what it is. And as you read through the materials and you understand what your addictive voice is, as soon as you can recognize it, you're pretty much there. Like, that really is the core of rational recovery. Your AV is the expression of your appetite or desire for alcohol or drugs. That appetite originates in the biological animal side of human nature, so we call it your beast. Your beast expresses itself through conscious thoughts, mental images, and feelings, but it cannot act on its own. It's a dumb thing that only knows one answer to any question and one solution to any problem, one action for every occasion. You are human, much more intelligent and versatile, and therefore you have an enormous advantage over it. Recognize that your beast is ruthless. It cares for nothing you love. It wants only one thing, the pleasure of alcohol or drugs. It will exploit any tragedy, take advantage of any good fortune to get you to drink or use. Notice how clever and convincing your addictive voice sounds, how it seems to be you. It can use your name, and it has access to everything you know. It uses reason very well and remembers only the good times of drinking and drugging. You, of course, have other memories, and you can reason far better than it can. So, on that note, remembering only the good times of drinking or drugging, that was another one of my old huge pitfalls. And honestly, I feel like that most people aren't ready to get clean until they've had enough bad experiences. Because in the beginning, I mean, don't lie, it's great. Like everybody says that too. Like it doesn't matter what your DOC was. It's like everybody had a good time. It was a lot of fun, but you start to see bad effects, especially when your addiction takes hold and you choose to not have a choice anymore over the matter. That you start to recognize the bad parts of it. Did you get locked up? Did you overdose and end up in the hospital? Did you overdose and end up in a fucking coma? Did you drink too much and crash into somebody on the road and now your insurance is $1,200 a month? Or you wound up in jail for a few months? I mean, did you get sued? Did you get caught shoplifting or selling drugs? Or, the list goes on and on of the calamities that can befall upon you when you're choosing to use drugs and alcohol. So until you remember that it's not a good time, that there's always something to lose, there's always one level that you can sink lower, you're going to have a hard time. We're back on 37 now, page 37. Notice that when you think about the possibility of drinking or drugging, you feel anxious, knowing the likely consequences. But sure, that pleasant feeling, you feel anxious, knowing the likely consequences, but you also feel pleasantly aroused, anticipating that familiar pleasure. That pleasant feeling is your addictive voice. Remember, your beast has feelings just as you do. It will be jealous of people who drink or use without problems. It will resent people who interfere with its supply, and it will feel excited when you consider drinking or using. It likes the disease idea, because then you can call your decision to drink or use a relapse, regardless of its disguise or how pleasant it feels. It is your deadly enemy, so treat it as such. Use addiction diction. Your beast must use pronouns to get what it wants, and its favorite pronoun is I. If you hear I want a drink, recognize that it, your enemy, wants a drink. When doing AVRT, AVRT, stay in the first person pronoun I, as in I am in control. It wants a drink, but I don't drink. This will force the addictive voice to use the second person pronoun you, and it will say something like, you can handle it. You've been good now for 6 days, and you can have just a little, just this once. Rejoice, you're in control now. You have forced your adversary to come to you using the pronoun you, arguing, begging, and pleading. Sometimes it will even speak for both parties, you and it, by saying, we need something. Let's go downtown and get some. Have no mercy. Be at least as cruel to it as it has been to you, and abstain. Okay? Now, this is a great exercise for beginners to avert. And so if you're still in the throes of addiction and you still have craving problems, definitely do this exercise. Make sure to rewind and listen to it again. Whenever you have a craving, separate yourself from your addictive voice, and you will start to see that it is an entity. Like it is something. It is a a part of your brain, but you can learn to control that, and you can separate yourself from that force that wants to do you harm. The only thing that the beast, the addictive voice, cares about is just getting tore up. We know that. That's the only thing. And when you're completely immersed in addiction, there is no separation between you and the beast. You've just become a beast, and you're going to do anything that your addiction tells you to. But once you are ready to start on this journey of recovery, and once you're actually ready to get better and just stop everything, then you can start doing these exercises and start to recognize your addictive voice. That is the key to this program, is recognizing your addictive voice. Once you recognize it, you can put a stop to it. You can put a stop to the actions that are going to follow the thoughts. When those thoughts come up that you want to use, you just say, it wants to use. I don't want to use. I am a rational person that knows that if I continue doing this, I'm going to die, or I'm going to get in a lot of trouble, and I'm definitely going to hurt the people that care about me. And I'm definitely going to put myself and my loved ones in a lot of danger. So once you're able to separate yourself from your addictive voice, then you're doing well. You're starting to learn rational recovery more and understand AVRT. All right. So pick a time to quit. No matter when you decide to quit, it will be now. So now, right here as you're reading, is a perfectly good time to quit for good. And sorry to stop again, but this is another concept, is the concept of time itself. A lot of people don't think about it like this, but every moment is the present moment, right? That's all you have. You don't have the past, because that's just memories, and you don't know what the future is going to hold. So all you have is this present moment. So it doesn't matter when you quit, because it's always going to be now. Even if it's in the future, when you quit, it's still going to be now. So it's just better to go ahead and acknowledge that. And also another thing is, the book explains it better than I can, but essentially when you look at time as the present moment, then you're able to combat your addictive voice a lot more easily, because you simply don't worry about the future, because you know that you're still going to be equipped with the tools to defeat your addictive voice. And so what better time to quit is now. And you don't have to worry about cravings down the road, because they may come, but you're going to be ready for that, okay? You're going to be equipped with the knowledge to defeat your enemy, which is the AV. And that's just the truth. And that's been my personal truth in this journey. So I can attest to that, and I know that it will work for you as well. So go ahead with your big plan. Your plan to give up addiction forever. Do it alone, following the instructions below, and don't share it with anyone. Ain't nobody's business but your own. Okay, so we're going to go through how to make a big plan, and I'm running out of SD memory here, but I will make another video here shortly, okay? How to make a big plan. We're on page 37 at the bottom. Half-hearted or experimental plans to quit for good won't do the trick. It's all or nothing. It's up to you to learn how to make a big plan that will endure for eternity. Think about the meaning of each of these 5 words. I will never drink or drug again. Feel the discomfort. That is your beast frightened of you. It knows you're capable of destroying it, just as you know it is capable of destroying you. When you think of never drinking, your beast will generate strong feelings that may include anxiety, depression, anger, grief, and a desire to be left alone. These feelings are common in early sobriety, but they fade with time. Think about why you are quitting for good. No new problems caused by drinking or using, a better life, better marriage, education, health, money, whatever you hope for, feel the hope. That is you at your best. Now say the words slowly to yourself with as much meaning as you can. I will never drink or use again, okay? And you have to mean it. Trust that you will always be able to recognize the inner longing to drink or use as your deadly enemy. Now hold on a second. Let me repeat that. Trust that you will always be able to recognize the inner longing to drink or use as your deadly enemy. That is one of the biggest tenets of this program. You just need to practice the recognizing. You just simply, if you meditate or anything like that, it is a little bit similar to that. You get into this mind frame where you can visualize your thoughts and just really listen to your own thoughts as a practice, okay? Until we come back again and speak some more. Really think deeply about your addiction, why you want to quit, and keep that in the forefront of your mind, okay? Until you're more strong with this. And what you need to work on is recognizing your addictive voice. That's it. That's all I want you to work on between now and the next video that we have. Is recognize your addictive voice, and don't act on it, right? And learn to cage that, isolate that off, and it's gonna fade. That addictive voice, it's gonna say, hey, we need to go out and get a fix, or buy a drink or something like that. Whenever that comes up, you just recognize it and you just say nope to yourself. I'm not gonna fucking do that. And you have to recognize the addictive voice, though. That's the only way that you can do this. Once you have that down, you're doing really well. Okay, trust me. So you have to recognize the voice and don't act on what the voice tells you, because we already went over that the voice just wants to destroy you, okay? The beast is a primal part of you that only cares about getting fucked up. So once you recognize that, then you have more control over it, okay? And that's true. All right, so I'm gonna repeat that. Now, say the words slowly to yourself with as much meaning as you can. I will never drink or use again. Mean it, and trust that you will always be able to recognize the inner longing to drink or use as your deadly enemy. Be willing to let your old friend suffer and die. Look at your hands, which are necessary to consume alcohol or drugs, and understand that they are under your complete control at all times. Your beast has no power over you. Your addictive voice has no power over you, okay? It is a quadriplegic that must appeal to you in order to convince you to drink or use. Wiggle your index finger. Now challenge your beast to do the same. Get it? Listen for the echo. When you state your big plan, you will almost certainly hear some serious commotion in your head. It may be angry commotion, or sadness, or fear, or bald cynicism, like, oh sure, a likely story, what a lie, what a load of crap this AVRT is. That is your addictive voice, your beast in action, defending itself against the worst thing possible. You are the one threatening it, in effect, with death. Fortunately, it is not you. You will survive, but it is certainly upset. Too bad. Now complete your big plan by saying it again, with meaning, and add, and I will never change my mind. Your beast will get the message. Humans naturally dominate beasts, within or without. So the last part says, complete your big plan by saying it again. Your big plan is a few different things, but one of the main tenets of the big plan is, I will never drink or use again. And in that with, and I will never change my mind, okay? I will never drink or use again, and I will never change my mind. And I tell you what, that sentence used to make me shiver. I was really pretty scared, because I always sort of thought that drugs and alcohol were going to be a part of my life. But once you have a couple of months under your belt, things get a lot easier. Once you live in the present moment and understand that you're able to combat and defeat your addictive voice, then your addictive voice won't have so much power over you. What things makes you shiver or get upset or something like that whenever you say the phrase "I will never drink or use again" and never change my mind, right? That is the addicted side of you and the addictive voice that is scared because it wants what it wants, but it's a primal dumb thing that only knows one solution to the problem or one answer for the question, like we talked about earlier. So take this seriously, and please rewatch this, specifically where we started reading. And I ran my mouth for a bit of this video, but I think that information is important to get that out there because there is a lot of bad information on recovery, and the more that I get this information out there that NA and AA is ineffective and there is an alternative treatment that actually works, then the more people that I can hopefully help. And I really want this message to spread, and I do want to help other people, because I've been through a lot of bad things in my life, and I am now in a great relationship that should turn to a marriage. I have a great career. I cleaned up my act in general. I don't have to worry about the police anymore because I'm not doing anything illegal. I don't worry about having to lose a job because I'm more competent than I was. There is so many, life is so much more full and rich when you're not a slave to the dope man, when you're not a slave to some substance, and you're not risking your life every day. You can actually do activities that you enjoy. You can get back into music, you can get back into art or writing, watching TV, hang out with your kids or your family, hanging out with your significant other, and having rich, deep relationships that I'm sure you weren't able to hold those when you were in active addiction, or if you're currently in active addiction, you're not able to do that. And not only that, but you just don't care. Like that's really the sad part about addiction is you're being selfish and stupid, honestly, and it's not entirely your fault. Don't use that as an excuse, but you just don't have the right materials. Like that was my problem, is like I was being selfish and stupid and cruel to the people that love me, and a lot of that was me, but about half of that was I didn't have the right information, okay, because they don't give you the right information. So we're gonna go deeper in next time. I'm gonna start with a fresh SD card, so I can talk and more importantly read longer, because I know you guys like that. So the next video we're gonna try to get through an overview. Yeah, we will get through an overview, and the next video we're gonna be starting around page 38. And then soon enough, the next couple videos, it's gonna take a few. I plan on reading through all of it, but we're definitely going to get into the chapters that cover specifically AVRT. But the awesome thing about this book is, honestly, if you really take it seriously, and I'm not saying do this, but you can read around even the chapter of AVRT and still get a lot out of it. And I personally got a lot out of reading this to you, so I hope you got something out of it. And just rewatch what I said and read. Get you a copy of Rational Recovery. Get in touch with me if you can't afford one. Now, I said can't afford one, not you're not willing to get it, okay? Now, if you're going and getting fast food or you're getting dope or something, then I don't really have much sympathy for you. But if you're genuinely unemployed and you're just like really screwed up financially, then get in touch with me and I'll see what I can do, okay? But get you a copy of this book, Rational Recovery. I believe there's an ebook. There's definitely a physical book you can order on Amazon or eBay. You can get all over the place. Till next time, love you guys. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this content. If you did, please like and subscribe below. Share this content if it helped you out. share it with someone that you think would get something out of it. And until next time, you guys stay safe out there, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks.